Hey guys, Kurt from Time Machine Transport. Happy Easter. I'm kind of embarrassed when I say this, but as a kid, and even as a young adult, even until just a few years ago actually, I never realized what Easter was all about. But my wife's family, hi Sarah, I love you. They're very, I'm a believer as well, but they're very religious. But just a kind, loving, accepting family. They accepted me, so I guess that's all that can be said. But I'm currently in Iowa at the world's largest truck stop in Iowa on I-80. They say so. Every time I come through here, and I'm spending the day here because I deliver in Illinois tomorrow. But they say it's the biggest truck stop in the world. I never really confirmed that, but anyways, that's not what the video's about. So happy Easter to everybody, but I didn't know what the whole meaning of Easter was. It's the resurrection of Jesus on the third day after he was buried. So it's pretty interesting. But anyways, if you clicked on the video, then I hope you have an open mind, because I would say, I don't think it's a crazy theory, but it's definitely a theory. I think it's a very plausible theory on what's coming. So I was talking to my wife just a little bit ago, and she's an RN, and I won't say what hospital she works for, but she worked ICU and dialysis for many years, and now she's I won't tell you where she's working now, but what the hell, who cares? It's cardiology, but so she's got a lot of knowledge on stuff like this, and she always listens to my crazy theories. God bless her soul. So, but anyways, so the people. So I was talking to Sarah this morning or this afternoon, and I told her that a lot of people are making videos around the country of pretty much empty or very few people in ERs. And we have a shop, and we rent to a few customers so they can store their cars in the shop over the winter. So she was talking to this gentleman today. He and my brother had to move a car to get his car out, and he was talking to Sarah and saying, how this is all pretty crazy stuff. And I guess his girlfriend's daughter, her kids, so his girlfriend's grandkids, were in the ER, I don't know when, but recently, and they have COVID-19, I guess, according to the doctor. But they had 104 temperatures, and so they wouldn't let them keep them in the ER. So you have all these ERs open, and you don't take children in with 104 degree temperatures. And I know my wife said give them Tylenol and stuff like that, keep them hydrated. But if they're not that busy, then what's the sense of advertising to the whole country through the media and all these social media sites that the ERs are full and this and that and everything else? But my wife says at her hospital, and several other RNs had made the same comment, that in these corridors where there's normally lots of people, and they've reduced their staff and put a lot of people on the furlough stuff, and my wife is an outstanding RN, so she didn't get furloughed. But so even the staff is saying that they're not that busy. So what's the sense? So as I drive down the road, I look out the windshield, and I call it windshield reflections. So as I'm driving last night into the early morning, I was thinking, what is this all about? So more and more people are thinking that the virus it's a real virus, but it's not as bad as they're saying. So I started thinking about this ventilator situation. They're having car manufacturers and all these other plants, making ventilators by the thousands, by the tens of thousands. So I'm wondering, okay, if you don't have the patients or the ill or the sick using those ventilators, and what are we making all these ventilators for? So my theory, I think that the virus is man-made. I also think that the people that made this virus, i.e. a government or some mad scientist, figured, okay, we need to have a reason why we're making all these ventilators. Because if you make ventilators and you're making them by the tens of thousands, and people that work at these facilities are going to start asking questions if you don't have the virus. If the virus doesn't exist, and you're in a factory, another factory, you're in hundreds of factories or 10 factories, however many factories are making these ventilators, and you're making all these ventilators, and you're going to start asking questions, why are we making so many ventilators? So they need a smoke screen, they need a cover story to make all these ventilators. And I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm not trying to be that guy that have, God bless all the people that have passed from this virus, or saying that they died from the virus. God bless their families and God bless their souls. I feel really bad for them. I think that the people that made the virus knew that there were going to be casualties, or collateral damage, as we call it in the military. I served my time in an elite combat unit, but you're going to have collateral damage. So, unfortunately, they made the virus to where people that have weak immune systems or that have complications health-wise, that they were going to die. And like I said, God bless their souls and God bless their families. I feel very bad for you. I truly do. But you need people to die, and I think that the younger generation, or some younger people that, and they say more and more younger people are dying from it. I don't think they anticipated that, or they did, and they said, well, that's part of the collateral damage. They need a smoke screen to make all these ventilators. But why the worldwide? So there's two different rabbit holes you could actually jump down. And you can either say one, and another thing, and like I said, I'm always jumping around, but why have two hospital ships, one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast, that they say are empty? And of course, it's all hearsay, whatever. We don't know for a fact, but they actually have some staff people that have come out and said there's nobody in them. So we're preparing for something. Over in Rikers Island, there's a news article that they're paying prisoners $6 an hour, which is a fortune in, you're so freaking scraggly today. They're paying Rikers Island inmates $6 an hour to dig graves, according to the article, mass graves. And it could be the media just hyping it all up or whatever, but they're digging these graves on that harbor island, and it's a cemetery, so they have had people. Rikers Island has dug there before, but now they say $6 an hour, and they provide PPE. So, and if you don't know what PPE is personal protective equipment. So, and then they have the Central Park thing, and they have other people saying that there's graves digging here and all this other stuff, and everybody's heard about the FEMA coffins. There's articles out there that there's a farmer, I don't know which state it was, it could have been a few states, that they were approached in the past, and the government or some agency rented their land to store these coffins, essentially. So they're called FEMA coffins. If you don't know what they are, look it up. It is true. So what's the reason for that? There's all kinds of theories, and like I said, I'm not that guy that's, a conspiracy. I guess a part of me probably is, but I'm not telling you to go dig a hole. I'm just saying be prepared. So back to the theory. So you have to create the smoke screen to make the ventilators. If you don't have a smoke screen, people ask why the ventilators. So driving last night, early this morning, and I was like, that's very interesting. So, like I said, my mind's always going. So when I parked here in Iowa, I went online and I looked at, I actually Googled it. I have to get into my phone. I don't want to break this contact. So I basically Googled how does the body react to radioactive materials or elements in your body. And then I looked at the symptoms and what it causes. It causes kidney failure. But most of all, it creates lung failure, i.e. maybe the ventilators. And I understand if okay, so say, like my wife says, but why would they, care about that? Well, if you're a politician, or if you're the higher up, the upper echelon or the deep state or whatever, or Donald Trump or whoever, and you know something's coming, and you don't know if maybe one of your friends or your family are going to be contacted by this, you don't want them to die in a horrible way. Is the only thing I can come up with. So, i.e. the ventilators, because you don't know if your friends or family are going to be affected by that. If I knew my brother or my nieces and nephews were going to be affected by this, and I was Donald Trump, I would say we need ventilators, because I wouldn't want them to die in a horrible way. Or maybe they have another reason for the ventilators. But anyways, so you have these hospital ships that are empty. You have ERs that are, and who knows if they're empty. I just know that what my wife tells me is true. She's not going to lie. That their hospital is, according to other staff and herself, they're not very busy. Other people doing the videos across the country, not very busy. So I told my wife, I said, well, so that means that either one, we're going to be hit by some sort of nuclear, something wrong with my damn eye today. We're going to be hit with either a nuclear aerosol or something that we're going to breathe in that's going to cause the lung failure or whatever the case is. Or it's coming, and I'm not trying to sound like a crazy person, but I know I am. Or it's coming from outer space. They got this comet Atlas that's supposed to be skimming by the Earth, and they don't know if it's going to crash into the sun and create a huge solar flare and possibly come towards Earth. And, oh, another thing. So, yeah, and here I go again, jumping around. I know there's people that, are on YouTube right now, or flies. I hate flies. They're disgusting. Ugh. Anyways, I hate flies. Got my windows open, obviously. So, I lost my damn train of thought. Damn it. So we have, damn it. I'm going to have to go back in the video now and look at me. Kurt, you're a dumbass. I easily forget. Maybe, like I said, I think it's his age. But, so, you have, back to the Comet Atlas, that's what it is. So it's supposed to skim by the Earth, and I guess they're saying it's either going to smash into the sun and blah, blah, blah. So I was going to start saying, I know there's people on YouTube that are probably really upset today, because some people would just want this stuff to come because they're prepared. My wife and I are prepared, like I've said in multiple videos, and you should be prepared as well. But there's probably people that are really super booty sore and probably tripping that we didn't have 3 days of darkness. A lot of people were saying, oh, it's going to happen Good Friday and then last through the weekend, and then the power is going to come back on Monday because they need the power to go out, like a grid down scenario. So these people are just, they're waiting with their finger on the trigger right now, or they were on Good Friday, waiting in their living room with their finger on the trigger, just waiting for the power to come out or go off, and it didn't happen, obviously. I wasn't one of those people. I'm not welcoming this when it happens. So therefore they said it could either crash into the sun, huge solar flare, come towards the Earth, do a major grid down scenario, or wipe out the planet as a whole. Or there's other guys I watched on YouTube that say that there's a massive tail on this thing. It's massive debris field, and that's on the tail end of it. That could have, I heard cyanide, I heard nuclear waste or radiation, whatever the case is. If that is the case, and our elites know about it, why would they tell us that? You're not going to tell us, because you're going to have complete chaos and panic and looting and rioting and worst case scenarios, because people are like, the world's coming to an end. So that's why they wouldn't tell us. And I agree with that. Don't tell us. But so they have to make, they know something's happening. And at first I was thinking, okay, well, maybe the United States is just going to have a nuclear war, i.e. everybody prepare, or the government preparing with the 2 ships on the east and west coast, all the ventilators, the complete lockdown, all this other stuff. But I was talking to my wife about the furlough, the other staff at the nurse that's furloughed, and what I said that how many minutes ago, but it shows you how my mind freaking goes nuts. But and she said, well, what about the furlough stuff? And you know, if that is happening, then, you know, I said, well, kind of look at it like an NBA basketball game. So you have your starters, which i.e. would be my wife and the other staff that stayed. You have all your starters on the basketball court, and they are playing the game, and they're your starters. They're your best athletes. Well, they're going to get tired eventually, right? So you train, you have those guys and gals out on the floor, and then you're going to need your bench people to come in and relieve them when they get exhausted. So maybe the theory goes that all the medical staff that did get furloughed, they're resting them up because they don't want to fatigue all the medical staff with all the stuff that's supposedly going on. So you're going to need your bench to come in and be well rested to come in with a full vengeance and a full force of people that are well rested to hit this thing as it comes in, i.e. patients and casualties or whatever. So that's a theory there. So now, that's kind of why I was thinking it was going to be in the United States, because everything kind of points to that. It doesn't point to a virus. This is just a smokescreen. They need a reason to train hospital staff. If you notice, they've all been donning PPE, the suits, the paper suits, and the masks, and the eye goggles, and the gloves, and the booties, and all that stuff, because this is unprecedented. We've never had this before. I mean, maybe with Ebola and SARS, but I'm almost 100% sure it wasn't to this extent or this massive or major. So I think they said, well, not only do we have the smoke screen to make all the ventilators, not only do we have a smoke screen to place 2 hospital ships, one on the east and one on the west, not only do we have a smoke screen to prepare military and get them all in place, and law enforcement and EMTs and first responders and all that stuff, but now we have a smoke screen to make sure the hospital staff know how to properly gear up and properly how to ungear. Because they say during the COVID, or during the stuff I was watching on Sky News, that not only do you have to be trained properly to don the equipment, now you have to be trained properly to undon it, so without infecting yourself. So if you have radio or radioactive material or contamination, and you're in these, and obviously they kind of went into it like, oh shit, you know, we don't have enough PPE, so it kind of exploded in their face a little bit. But they also, or maybe it was intentional, maybe they said, okay, we're just going to have to make them work and see how they react without it. And so, but what better way to train, to have great training, by having a smoke screen, teaching your medical staff that were kind of complacent before that probably, by now everything they do is protected on their body with the stuff that they do have. Unfortunately, it's not all there right now. So that's great training at the end of the day. Now you've, with this smoke screen, you've created the ventilators, got the hospital ships, you've trained your medical staff to don and undon properly in case when you have a radioactivity around you, or radioactive material around you. And then you've also rested your force, your team. You've rested your team completely. So there, everything falls into the narrative of the smokescreen and being prepared without alarming the citizens. So that was my initial thought on the United States. But then you got to ask yourself, why the whole world? So I thought initially, okay, well, the U.S., because they say that Iran and China and these drug cartels have sleeper cells in the United States that are ready to act to create war with us. So maybe there's nuclear stuff, bombs or gases or whatever that they have that they know they're going to inflict on the people. So that there goes your training right there, because our government knows that there are sleeper cells here that are ready to plan some sort of chemical attack on the people, i.e. everything that's going on. But then you have to ask yourself, what about the world? Why is the world? Why is this all? And again, you're talking collateral damage with the third world countries. Unfortunately, God, it's horrible. But then you know, in the impoverished countries and collateral damage, you know, only the strong survive. Unfortunately, it's like in our unit, only the strong survived. If you fell out of this or fall out of that, you're considered a shitbag, and that's just the way it is. Whether it's a 10-mile rucksack run or a 25-mile road march or whatever the case is, if you fall out, you're deemed a shitbag, and that's only the strong survive. Unfortunately, well, fortunately and unfortunately. So, but you have to ask yourself, what about? Something just ran by my truck. Hope it wasn't a rat. I hate rats. I think it was a hamster or whatever, gopher or something. Hamster. What about a hamster? But anyways, so you have to ask yourself, what about the rest of the world? Why are they training for all this? Well, that would kind of point to something coming from outer space, because the countries that are technically advanced would be only the strong survive. So they're training accordingly, just like the United States is. So that would explain, instead of having just the U.S. having a nuclear attack, so we know that what that all entails with the sleeper cells and everything. But why the rest of the world training for this? Because maybe it's coming from outer space. And I know I sound like a crazy person, man. I don't want to be that guy, but it's the only thing I could come up with that makes a good theory, and it's very plausible. Something's coming from outer space that is going to create a radioactive gases or materials or whatever to come onto our planet and affect us people. It's in the Bible as well, turning this into bitter and so on and so on. You know, water turning blood red and everything else. So it's one of those things that you kind of look and you're like, man, holy shit, I just really sound like a freaking madman right now. But with everything that I'm reading, everything I'm listening to, and so on. Oh, and another thing. So Dr. Fauci, Trump's, the little short guy with the glasses, Trump's doctor guy. And you can look it up. I put it on my phone. Actually, let me grab my other phone here real quick. I'll read it exactly how they have it. Hold on 1 second. So Dr. Fauci was... it's going to make me download? I don't want to have to download it. Oh, right here. No. All right. So right here. Let's try this one. And nope, that's for the... So I went online and I on YouTube also, and I looked at how a ventilator operates, and of course it's the last one I download, of course. How a ventilator works with the ET tube or whatever. Anyways, so yeah, it's where is... All right, let's see. Dr. Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci, a leading health expert and member of President Donald Trump's coronavirus task force, predicted 3 years ago that the administration would have to deal with a surprise disease outbreak. The director of National Institute and Allergy of Infectious Diseases, blah, 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 told Georgetown University event on pandemic preparedness in January of 2017 that there was no doubt President Trump's team would face challenges that their predecessors were faced with over infectious diseases. So, Dr. Fauci, January 11th of 2017, said that there's going to be a surprise epidemic or virus, whatever. I mean, not like they haven't warned other or made mistakes other times, and they had it noted with the media, the fake mainstream media, which obviously we all can't stand if you're listening to this video. So that's kind of alarming, right? So like I said, I think that something, and you know, everything, and like I said, if you lost a loved one during this and you're like, you're an idiot, Kurt, this is real. I'm not saying it's fake. I'm just saying that it's not as problematic for the people that don't have weak immune systems or health problems. I mean, I sleep with a CPAP machine, and I mean, I could have had heart disease and everything else. So, CPAP is a real thing. I mean, it can cause a lot of complications. So, and once again, the weak. God, I'm so sorry when I say this, but somebody had to be collateral damage, unfortunately, and like I said, I pray for. I mean, I really do. If I'm sorry, I'm seem like I'm insensitive, but I'm not. My heart goes out to you. But unfortunately, our government doesn't think that way. And the reality of things are they have to play along with the narrative and the smoke screen in order for it to not alarm everybody else. So unfortunately, those people are collateral damage. And how many times I've said collateral damage during this video? Probably 20 or 30 times. But it is real. It's just not affecting everybody. And the younger people that were victims of this were probably unexpected and maybe had a weak immune system or some other complication that their family wasn't aware of, or they maybe weren't even aware of, and unfortunately they passed away. So once again, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. And it's the only thing that would make sense during this, with the ventilators, the ships on both coasts, the training of the medical staff. If you think about it, just think about it. It doesn't make any other sense. It doesn't make any other sense. And the Antichrist, or the false Messiah coming, I asked my wife today also, like, what would be so important that you would want to, and I'm not denying that it's coming, but my question is, what are we doing as a people currently, or in the future, or in the past? What have we done, and what are we doing to make someone want to control us? What are we providing them? I mean, if you think about it, to have a false messiah, or to want to control the people, I mean, human beings are animals, man. I mean, just look at what we're doing to our planet and what we do to each other and everything else. And the fear, and this tells you what kind of people, not all of us, obviously, but what kind of people that we live on this planet with, when that the government would be so scared, or not scared, but would not tell us what's coming, because we would all just turn into animals. But not all. I keep saying all, I'm sorry. But some of us, or half of us, would start rioting and looting and raping and robbing and killing, just everything. So what kind of people are we at the end of the day, that they can't tell us what's really coming, because of what people will do to one another just out of pure panic? So what are we doing as a people that would make someone want to control us? Because at the end of the day, when they do try this vaccinate, or maybe it's just a psyop where they're saying, oh yeah, vaccinations are coming soon, and people are like, oh yeah, it's real, they want to vaccinate us. Maybe it's not going to be that. Maybe we won't even be here, or maybe this is going to come way before the re-election, or the election, however you look at it, if you're a Trump supporter or not. But what are we doing as a people that would want somebody to control us? What are we doing? Think about it. Is it gold? Is it mineral? Is it platinum? Is it why? Because if you say, for instance, we do make it to that point, and they say, okay, we're going to vaccinate everybody, and everybody's going to get this chip or this bracelet or whatever, or this tattoo, whatever the case is. When you tell people that, there's going to be instant rioting, instant this, and so they're gonna go through a lot of. It's going to be very problematic for people for them to force people to take the vaccination. So why would you want to endure that kind of frustration on yourself? So what are we doing as a people? Think about, what are we doing that would want somebody to keep us here and keep control on us and keep doing what we're doing? What are we doing? So just think about it. What are we doing? I don't know what we're doing. They say the Anunnaki with the gold and this and that, and I mean, if you listen to the stuff that I listen to, which I'm sure a lot of you do, and then also on the Real BP Earth Watch, the guy said that Jared Kushner is I don't know if he's in charge of FEMA now, but he's in charge of redirecting or expediting medical supplies and equipment to the proper to the proper areas through FEMA. So he took over that. I don't know if he took over that area of FEMA, but look it up. It's true. Trump gave him the go-ahead to control this part of FEMA, where he basically intercepted a lot of FEMA, or a lot of medical supplies through FEMA, and he's redirecting them to the states that need it most. So I don't know if that means he's just in charge of that part of FEMA, or if he's in charge of all of FEMA. So that could point to Jared Kushner is the false messiah or the Antichrist, because there's also BP Earthwatch had also said that there were several. I don't know about several, but he said a few rabbis had stated that they actually spoke with the false messiah currently. He's currently amongst us. Well, the only one I could think of is Jared Kushner, because he was getting together the peace deal, and the Middle East peace deal with Israel and Palestine and Saudi Arabia and all this other stuff. So he was actually the person that was on the ground trying to put this all together. Well, if you're a rabbi, you would probably be talking to Jared Kushner. Once again, a theory. All this is theory. I'm not speculating any. It's all just a theory. And if you think like I think, and that's all you, and you want to know, and you want to come down to your own answers, do your due diligence, do your own research. I do it, and that's how I came up with the theory. If you support the theory, great. Well, not even great. I mean, who wants to support this kind of theory, man? It's horrible. Absolutely, it's the worst possible case scenario. But if you agree with the theory, okay. If you don't, okay. I just do these videos to kind of just warn people, and warn people that that are like-minded thinkers like myself. Just be prepared, man. I'm going to do another video. I'll probably be at the house this week. I'm going to do a video on what to do if you live in an apartment, how to escape, if your front door is the only way in and out, or a patio door is your only way in and out. I'm going to do a video on that. Also, I'm also going to do another video. Might be the same video, might be a separate video, because not everybody can afford to have guns, or not everybody. Some people just don't like guns because you're not proficient with them, or you just don't like them. I mean, I love guns, but I'm also very proficient with them. Man, my mouth is dry. So I'm gonna do another video. I'm gonna do a video also on what types of weapons you could have and make yourself if you can't afford a gun, or you don't like guns, or you just can't own a gun because for whatever reason. Not my business, only yours. But what you can have in your residence to help protect you, and also how to protect your dwelling, the areas to look at, how to prevent somebody from getting in, early detection warning devices, just shit like that. So anyways, I babbled enough. Do your due diligence. Do your research. I'm not anybody special. I've been around the block, probably like the majority of you have. But please, 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 for your own sake, for your family's sake, be prepared, man. And like I said, I'll do a couple other videos this week. And if you like the content, and just please thumbs up the video and subscribe. The more subscribers, the better it is. I mean, my videos, believe it or not, with only having a few subscribers, even one of my buddies he wanted to know how to do something. He's a firefighter. I got buddies that are cops and firemen. But anyways, my one firefighter buddy says, yeah, man, I didn't know you had your own YouTube channel, man. He said, I was looking up on how to do something, and all of a sudden I see your face and your name on one of the videos, because I had no idea. So anyways, my videos get out there for whatever reason, but please, 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 I beg you, as a human being, be prepared. And please subscribe and like the channel. And I hope this finds you well. I hope your Easter's going well. And God bless us all. Ciao.